repeal Obamacare. I fought Obamacare with everything that was within me, every step of the way in Washington, D.C., and on the night that it passed on the House floor, I turned to one of my colleagues and said, we cannot raise the white flag of surrender just because it passed. We need to let the American people have real hope and tell them that we aren't going to stand for it. So I called my staff at midnight that night and I said, we're not going home. We wrote the bill to repeal Obamacare, and I was the first member of Congress on the floor introducing that full repeal. And as President of the United States, I will fulfill that promise to you. I'm a former federal tax lawyer, and one thing I understand is that the tax code has got to go. All 3.8 million words of it has to go. I understand the economy. I get why the economy is in doldrums. Does this have any indication? $1 trillion stimulus? Maybe that's why. Maybe it's because the day that I took office as a member of Congress, the debt was at $8.67 trillion. After, in my opinion, they mistakenly gave Obama another $2.4 trillion blank check, we are now at $16.7 trillion. In just over 4 years, these geniuses in Washington have almost doubled the national debt. We can't afford just somebody from the other team in Washington. We can't afford somebody with the other team's jersey in the White House. What we need to have is someone who's demonstrated that they're a fighter, that they have a backbone. And I want you to know that underneath this black shirt is a titanium spine. To stand up to President Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, and even my own party's leadership. Because I believe, I'm proud to be a Republican, but I believe you put principle over party.
That's right.
And the next President of the United States has to stand for the American people and the American dream. That's what counts in this country. And I don't care if you are everyone from Bill Gates down to the most humble family in the United States. You deserve a chance in this country. And that's what I intend to do as President of the United States. I intend to bring back true change, true hope, by changing the tax code, by dramatically cutting spending. And I'm going to start with the Environmental Protection Agency. You agree, because I intend to turn out the lights and lock the doors on the EPA and instead focus on true conservation of clean water and dirty air. Because who here is for dirty air and dirty water? No one in the United States. That's what we need to do. Not have the EPA be the job-killing agency of America. And just like the Federal Department of Education, Jimmy Carter created the Federal Department of Education as a payoff to a union. That hasn't helped us. And so this is what I would do. I would pass a mother of all repeal bills for education, get rid of all of the unfunded mandates that the federal government puts on our local schools, making it very difficult for our local schools to even be effective, get rid of all of those unfunded regulations, and then, once again, I'm going to have a very busy day. A very busy day. I first have to make a trip to the EPA, and after that, I have to get over to the Department of Education, because I also have to turn the lights off and lock the doors over there as well. Because we are Department of Education makes over $93,000 a year without counting benefits. So after the stimulus was passed, there was one person in the Federal Department of Transportation that made over $170,000 a year. 18 months into the recession, there were 1,690 making over $170,000 a year. When the recession first started, by the way, does it feel like we are still in a recession? When the recession first started, this is unbelievable. We saw an increase. We saw 7 million Americans lose jobs. But we saw the number of federal employees making over $100,000 go from 14% of the employees up to 19% of all the employees. I think it is time for a dramatic change in the way that Washington is spending our money. And so not only will I be cutting back with a very heavy hand on government spending, I will also change the tax code, as I said, and I can't wait. Because our corporations are among the highest in the world. Our job creators, you want to know why jobs are going to China? We have about the top corporate tax rate in the world at almost 35%. I just heard today about Ireland and the high number of American companies, over 100,000 employees in Ireland with over 600 American companies. Why? Because their tax rate is dramatically lower than the United States. Wouldn't you love to bring 100,000 jobs back to the United States? That's what I want to do. I'm done with seeing China get our jobs. I want those jobs here because I want to see us make something in the United States again. Wouldn't that be a good idea? Bring steel manufacturing back to the United States again. Make things, actual products that we'd actually go to a store and buy. Wouldn't that be awesome? We could do that in the United States if we change the tax code. And if we change the regulatory burden.